All right, we have a special guest today who helped make a movie about my life and her life and why we came over here as refugees. Worship pastor, director of worship pastors, fellow Baku refugee. And I'm so happy to be here with you, Olga. Tell the people how to pronounce your last name.
Olga Petrosyan.
Petrosyan.
But you know, in the U.S., I understand the rolling R is not as common, so Petrosyan is okay as well.
Petrosyan's okay. You just got in here from
Louisville.
You are on staff at a church. Let's give a shout out to the church that
Southeast Christian.
Okay.
Yeah, amazing church. So blessed and honored to call it my home.
That's awesome. I want to get into the movie that's about to come out, which I'm extremely excited about. I was shocked that they are making a movie about what happened in Baku, and I want to get into all of that. But before we get into that, you just flew into Los Angeles in the middle of these horrendous fires. I'll get some of this stuff on the screen. Thousands of acres are burnt down. And just tell us what you saw checking into the hotel and even how it reminded you and was a bit triggering to what you grew up in.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, just getting into the city and flying over the fires and seeing the devastation and the amount of destruction that was happening, and then landing in LA, getting into the hotel and walking into, it's almost like you're being placed in the middle of a refugee camp, walked into the lobby and their families. Everyone is calling their loved ones, like, are you okay? Are you evacuating? I'm at this hotel. And the kids with their small backpacks, their dogs, and everyone is kind of shocked, uncertain about what's happening, fear on their eyes, and just the loss of what they called their home is real. And so definitely brought right away the memories, especially as I look at the kids, because, you know, being a kid when I fled, could be different circumstances, but forced to leave their home. And what they're going through is very similar of what you and I went through. And so very triggering, very sad, feels kind of, wrong almost to talk about my stories. I'm really seeing what's happening with
right now, like in
LA.
real time.
Right now,
people are going through it, and it's so unfortunate because I'm excited to bring you guys our very first 3-day conference called the Bless God Summit, happening March 27th, 28th, 29th in Southern California. And at this conference, we'll have your very own Preston Perry.
Me as an evangelist, I've made it up in my mind that I'm not going to leave people with an excuse not to serve Jesus.
Dr. Sean McDowell.
If there's one thing Christians should care about, it's truth.
Our vision with this conference is to equip, empower, and inspire people to do the work of the ministry that God has for them in this time. And at this conference, we'll have your very own Alan Parr and his wife, Jim Parr.
The number one reason, people want to get divorced because they want to find someone else who can make them happy. Now, what they don't realize, they're chasing the wind.
John McCrae from What Do You Mean?
What you may be shocked, or you may not be shocked to know, is that the majority of Christians in America, they don't know how to articulate the message of the gospel to non-believers.
Lila Rose.
Love and marriage go together, that sex and marriage go together, that sex can bring life into the world. That's an amazing thing. That's not a bad thing.
Trizzle Fitness.
Most people fail at dieting because they're just trying to lose weight too fast. What are you in such a rush for?
But where a lot of people get stuck is figuring out what it looks like to walk in that. And so these 3 pillars of our conference will be covering everything from apologetics to family in the home and the marketplace, and how you can lean into those 3 pillars to discover your calling on this side of eternity. I'm sure you know this. This happens every year in California.
Yeah.
Every year there's these fires. About 2006 or 2007, we had to evacuate from my condo here in San Marcos. I was living in San Marcos at the time. And I remember looking outside. Thankfully, we didn't lose our home, but I remember looking outside and seeing flames on the hill.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make sense to me that there's this consistent annual massive fire off. And now it'd be like out in less populated areas. Now it's in the heart of Los Angeles.
Yeah, and you see real people, real families caught in the midst of all of it, and real loss, and it becomes so much less about the fire and so much about the people and their lives being right now disrupted by this uncontrollable really event.
Yeah. Have you kept up with any of the theories around why this is happening in terms of the government not being willing to step up? And from my understanding, there is a need to go in and preemptively do fires to maintain some of the wild growth.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that in California because of environmentalist policies.
Yeah.
That's some of the theory.
I also understand that this is not the usual typical season for the fires. It's kind of hard. Like the real reason is still unknown, but I think the idea that there's like a perfect storm coming together, the wind is not like, it's so strong that it literally picks up the fire and just, allows it to spread uncontrollably right now. So I don't know if we can truly control the Lord.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he's in the fire, he's in the wind, his will be done no matter what we try to do, and so I think when you look at all of this, you just feel so little as a person. You understand that when his hand is in it, he can stop it like that. He can cause it like that. And I think what we need to do, all of us, is just pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Yeah. And I think pay attention and pray.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think, have you ever lived here in California?
No.
You've never, okay.
No.
So I think for us in California, we're fairly frustrated
Right.
with the way stuff has been handled in California. Not to make this like super political, but the environmentalist policies, the lack of, especially in LA, dealing with the transient issues and the folks who are displaced. And there's, footage coming out that some of these fires were initially set on accident by folks who don't have homes.
Oh, wow.
And because of the wind, the perfect storm of situations, and because of the additional forest and stuff they haven't chopped down, that this is that perfect storm.
Yeah.
And so, so a lot of us are frustrated. $30 billion squandered to deal with homelessness in LA.
That's crazy.
And they didn't fix it.
I think, I mean, we can talk about this as well, but like, it's never really about the political side. You can talk about politics all you want, but even like with our story, there's so many people that can take sides. At the end of the day, it's about real people. It's about real lives. And it's about people caught in the midst of all of this, no matter where you stand and what side you take.
Yeah.
And I think that's the real story, is that people are suffering right now.
Yeah.
And as a church, we can be that church.
Yes.
We can come around, we can love, we can welcome them, we can open our homes. Like that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
No matter the political side, no matter where you stand, I think the church is always the answer. Really.
Well, you're way more charitable to the political side than I am right now. So we'll let you be the voice of the spirit in this conversation and to let cooler heads prevail. But yeah, I definitely think I think you're right. I think in the macro you're totally right. It's just unfortunate that there's real people being affected.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff, in my opinion, is it's a falling short of the leaders to deal with this adequately. And I hope that these people get their homes back. I don't know how to fix it.
No.
Like that's the sad part is you just throw your hands up and you go, how do we fix it, Lord?
Yeah. How do you bring the memories back that were burned to the ground? Those are priceless.
Yeah.
And I think that's a real loss, and that will probably never recover fully with the trauma that people will experience from this. Sad.
All right, guys. BetweenBordersMovie.com. Go get your tickets. You can watch the trailer on the website. You can get your tickets. And support this. I think this is a great film. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to comment below and subscribe and all that good stuff. And check out this other video that YouTube seems to be recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.